Gears of War 2 is the biggest action epic we've ever seen, but it plays out as a video game.
Gears of War 2 is like a tasty corn dog of excitement covered in fun sauce.
You know, my girlfriend will come in and yell at me because I've been playing for 4 straight hours, and like I'll stand up like he did. I'll try to explain to her, like, listen, like, I want to come hang out with you, but I'm trying to save the world here. So, it's your choice. You can either let me save the world now, we can hang out later, or we're all gonna die.
Gears of War 2 is an epic saga that tells the story of the men of Delta Squad. On the planet of Sera, in which these men reside, a horrible enemy force called the Locust have come forth from the underground of the planet, and they're laying waste to everything, everywhere, every man, woman, and child. It's up to these guys to potentially turn the tide of the war.
You got a destroyed world, a world where people are trying to rebuild, trying to get their normal life back, and they're fighting an enemy which they don't know where they're coming from.
Gears is accessible sci-fi. I think anybody who's a fan of science fiction films, novels, anyone can pop right into it.
It's everything at least somebody like me wants. It's my nerd end, I'm a nerd, versus my jock end. It's all that counterbalanced. It's perfect.
It's just guys with machine guns wearing armor fighting against monsters, and you're not thinking about it. It's a sci-fi story, but it is. It's a classic sci-fi story.
You've got roided out heroes in an environment that needs roided out heroes to survive.
Badass characters that are kind of reminiscent of a lot of the 80s sci-fi that was very popular in the era, kind of Schwarzenegger, Stallone type films that really seem to be a lost art in this day and age.
Brace yourself, we're going down!
I think that the reason why we play Gears of War is to sit down with our friends and kick some ass.
It's one of the unique things that Gears brings. It brings cooperative gameplay that stays true to the story.
The benefit of co-op is that you get to sort of talk to your friends and work through the mission together.
And so we're able to have another person come in and play as Dom, and we share that same story from 2 different perspectives.
I like the feeling of actually collaborating and teaming up with another real person, and actually telling them, like, cover me while I go and eat a sandwich.
It's also got a multiplayer component that people play for years afterwards. We have 400,000 people playing right now, playing Gears of War, killing each other online and having a blast.
It's an ongoing battle. It's a never-ending battle. And it creates this sort of, it really is this sort of last man standing mentality, in that you play the game and, someone will chainsaw you and you're like, I gotta get that guy.
So, in Rambo, when it's like go time and you are just, it's the end, you need to take everybody out and you need to take them out now. That's how Gears is all the time.
There are so many kind of wide-ranging elements of combat, and that you can fight all the way back here, like to right in somebody's face was so great. But the curb stomping and the chainsawing and the, killing somebody and then Cole going, ooh, juicy.
I will occasionally play online, just to be humiliated. Yeah, some, guy weighs 90 pounds soaking wet. It's just like, ha ha. I'm like, I will snap like a carrot. I'm coming to Terre Haute, Indiana to kick your ass. Personally. You can't say that to me. I'm John DiMaggio. I was playing for 3 seconds and you killed me.
Sticking a frag grenade on somebody, as much as you hate it, because it is so frustrating and everyone's like, it's so lame. It's part of the game, guys. It's part of the game.
They want to blow shit up. That's what people want to do, blow shit up.
The most brutal thing that I've heard you can do, I can't figure out how to do. Rip someone's face off with a torque bow.
You're satisfied to kill somebody, you know what I mean? Wow, I sound like such a freaking sociopath.
It's so satisfying to kill.
How can I tear someone limb from limb?
You snipe a guy and his head just explodes, pop. It's and the way it sounds, it's like it's almost congratulating. It's almost like a champagne bottle opening up.
I think the sound effects help that one. It's got to be like lettuce and egg and breaking glass all at the same time. I don't know what that, and wood.
A horror movie is only as good as its death scenes. Well, in an action game, it's only as good as its weaponry. I thought B was the melee, and picked it up thinking I was gonna, do the elbow butt a la Halo or something else, and then all of a sudden I hear that revving noise and see the guy cut someone in half and blood fill the screen. from that point on, I was hooked.
But as far as like a trademark weapon goes, I mean, Star Wars has a lightsaber, Star Trek has your phasers, Gears of War has the Lancer.
You've got a rifle with a chainsaw mounted to it.
That by far is, I think, is the coolest weapon ever.
It's not every day you could, you can tie a scope and an assault rifle to a chainsaw, man, and just, go through your opponent or, your enemy and just gut them like a fish.
Oh, it's so awesome.
Napoleon sums it up best when he said, to face a man directly on the battlefield is one sense of pride, but to sneak up behind a monster and saw him in half with a chainsaw on the end of your gun, that's something special.
I think there's something about Gears of War, the world we've created, the characters we've created, the gameplay we've created that's grabbed people's attention.
But the people who just live and breathe this franchise, who know it as well as we do, we meet them at the cons, they've got their favorite character, they've got the tattoo of the Gears of War logo, they're wearing the t-shirt.
There was a guy who made a costume, a Locust costume the other day. That's just amazing. They'll really get almost every little detail in there. And a lot of the costumes I've seen, they must be poring over this stuff.
Well, I got the Gears shirts, I got the Gears posters over my bed, the signed Gears posters over my bed, and come on, they're COG tags.
Hi, I'm Marcus Phoenix. If you like Gears of War, then you'll love our boots. They're kind of like Uggs, except with metal and bulletproofing. They're a lot of fun. Could you imagine chicks like walking down Melrose with like big clunk, clunk, clunk? They're like, check out my new Gear shoes. Oh my God, I'm falling.
Back in the day when you would be making a video game, the context and the narrative of what you were doing were very ancillary to the actual gameplay.
Storytelling for the past 30 years in gaming has gone from the simplest of, okay, I've got to jump over these things, climb these ladders and save the girl, to these expansive stories which give you backstory to the enemy, backstory to the heroes.
I missed my family. I'll kill every one of these bastards.
The storyline is going to make Gears 2 darker than the first game. If you follow the storyline, it's got some character arcs and things like that will really, I think, surprise people.
We wanted to intentionally be kind of like the bad older brother as far as having darker themes and having a bit more nasty, kind of violent, over-the-top moments.
Humans are no strangers to war. After all, we've been fighting for as long as we can remember.
The Pendulum Wars have been going for 79 years, and then there's been 15 years of the Locust Wars. So that's 94 years of combat. People have been born and died while at war. And I think it's really interesting. Like, how does that shape a society? How do you shape a society that deals with a constant war?
At the end of it all, it's ultimately about hope. It's about humanity banding together to deal with a force that nobody thought they could defeat.
Gears of War 2, it's the story of D-Day for humanity against the Locust Horde.
I took U.S. history. It's totally like D-Day. Everyone's in. It's like this last-ditch effort, but it's not going to be a last-ditch effort. Like, it's going to be this epic battle. Probably 5 acts worth of battle.
When you have nothing left to defend, you have but one choice, which is to attack. And this is basically it, is that they put all the pieces together, and all the pieces show that if they do nothing, if they just continue to defend and sort of claim what they already have, that they will lose it all.
We think that we're doing all well. We think that we're winning, The Locusts are down. We know how to kill them. No. Okay, so they're back. They're taking over the planet again.
There it is. The beginning of the end.
They're seemingly stronger because now whole cities are sinking into the ground and you don't know why.
So Delta Squad is 4 close friends. Marcus Phoenix is our badass anti-hero. His best buddy, Dom Santiago. And then we've got Gus Cole, who's the over-the-top thrashball player turned soldier, and Damon Baird, who's our scientist.
Welcome to Delta.
These are the guys that you could go drinking with, go to the strip club with, get drunk and throw up in each other's cars. These are your guys.
They're like the crew from Aliens times 10.
This kind of 4-man wrecking crew crossing the planet and cracking heads and not even taking any names of any kind.
Running away won't help! I'll just shoot you in your asses!
The Locusts have killed all the wusses, right? So all that's left are these, mega soldiers.
They all have a lot of respect for each other, but they all give each other a lot of crap. They're a great dysfunctional family.
It's a personal journey for each of these characters. They've lost their father, their wives, their kids, and sharing that with them as they go through this world and try to survive. I like to think that we're transcending a little bit beyond just a push the buttons and click kind of video game.
Nice work, Delta. Cole, Baird, you take left. Dom, you come with me. Nice.
Marcus Phoenix is kind of a classic anti-hero.
Reporting for duty, sir. Drop the sir, kid. We're not that polite out here.
He's seen a lot of combat. He's killed a lot of humans and a lot of locusts, and he's kind of done with it all.
He makes the tough calls. He says what has to be said.
People think he's a dumb space marine, right? And yada, yada, yada. But if you look at his eyes, he's just got a little bit of intelligence back there that makes him dangerous.
Control, this is Delta. Enemy threat eliminated.
You want to love the guy, but you're scared he might stab you in the back at the same time.
Marcus never smiles. Even at his birthday party, Marcus never smiles.
I think he needs Dom to just help him open up a little bit.
Dominic Santiago is Marcus's best friend, and he's kind of the guy who says what the player's thinking.
Dom has those quick, comebacks, and he's just a rugged dude. And when he snipes somebody's head, he goes, what's up, bitches?
What's up, bitches?
In the days following the Locusts' attack, they lost their children, him and his wife Maria, and she went almost crazy with grief and went missing one day.
Aw, boo-hoo. Okay, it's hug. What do you want, like a tampon and a chocolate bar? Like, what do you want me to do? She's dead. And if she's not, she probably left you, I don't know.
At the opening of Gears 2, Dom has a lead on her where she might be.
You ever seen this woman?
Something about her face does seem familiar.
He deserves love. He won't get it, but he deserves it. Maybe him and Baird could hug it out at some point.
Baird's kind of like the wuss of the group. He's different than Dom. Like, Dom's like this emotional wuss, but Baird is kind of like the, ooh, blood, I don't want to eat that.
Baird is the smartass, who's the tech-savvy one.
He's not the guy who's cocky and doesn't pull his weight. He does his job.
Yeah, baby. Is that gotta be?
Man, Coltrane, that's the funniest dude on the game.
He's that perfect kind of, comic relief in the middle of the fight.
He's a Coltrane, baby. Woo! Right?
In the flesh, baby. Coltrane is like this hyperactive, just mountain of a man. He's just a wild child.
He's a former athlete. He doesn't put up with trash either. He wants to just bum rush everybody. He's not afraid of anything.
Nobody plays this game like me. He's a Coltrane, baby. Yeah.
He's a combo between a professional wrestler and a football, like the most famous football player of his time.
Everybody loves Cole because Cole's a badass. When I play online, I'm Coltrane. That's who I am.
And I love him so much that the Cole rap that comes on when you finish Gears is my ringtone on my phone.
Woo! Bring it on, sucker!
This my kind of Yeah! Woo! Bring it on, sucker! This my kind of So embarrassing. Yeah.
Well, the Locusts have returned, and they're stronger than ever, and they've brought with them a force that can sink entire cities without warning.
I mean, the Locust Horde is unbeatable. There's so many of them. They're so much tougher than humans. It takes 3 guys focusing on 1 drone.
They're intelligent savages. They take cover, they don't want to die, and they know how to use weapons, they know how to use armor, they know how to use tactics.
Monsters are one thing, okay? But monsters with guns, that's a whole nother thing.
Damn. So this is what the Inner Hollow looks like.
I mean, the Locust is this group that lives in a series of caves underground, right?
Where they grew and, proliferated, had parties and built buildings, and then they came out, right?
Anytime you feel that rumbling in the game and you're like, crap, where are they coming?
What are you gonna do? Huh? What are you gonna do? I'm coming. I'm over here. I'm over there. See? You don't know what to do. You're confused. You're scared. You're intimidated, right? It's beautiful.
It's a mixture of unbridled rage and brutality. They're the monster side of monster.
From the human perspective, you just want to get rid of these guys.
I think they should be chainsawed in half and then have their guts thrown across a square of some kind, or perhaps into a dry fountain, or down some stairs at an old mansion.
I think a lot of people look at Gears of War 2 and try and reverse engineer it and say, well, what did they do? And it's like at the end of the day, it was the combat and the way it feels to play this game.
Feel is everything in a game. If You don't have that ultimate tangible feel in the first 30 seconds of what the fun is. You need to start over and go back to the drawing board.
You have this level of immersion where you forget that you're playing a game. You feel like you're standing in the middle of this war zone and your buddies are around you are dying.
Camera tightens in when you're in cover, and so you're feeling like you're being threatened, and the fact that when you die you have to sit out, and so you don't want to die, and the fact that it's so visceral with the chainsaw. When you get killed in a big way. And so I think all that sort of intensity on top of the simplicity really makes people want to keep coming back to it over and over and over again.
Think of Gears as destroyed beauty. We build these beautiful buildings with medieval influences, and then we tear them to pieces and destroy them.
Given Gears' focus on cover, I mean, they almost have to have a world that is destroyed, because, you know, no architect builds a world with, you know, stray cement blocks and blown up cars.
Moss and verdigris on the copper and crumbling rubble. It just tells a story better than pristine science fiction style environments. We want you to be firing a machine gun and chips of stone are gobbling everywhere and statues are crumbling and to feel like you're having an impact, because really the way you interact with the world is through the end of a gun in a shooter.
At the heart of a video game, it's about the interaction. And what's great about Gears is there is an intimacy to that action.
From the get-go, we intentionally built Gears to be a far more in-your-face, a far closer experience. You have a chance to actually get up on your enemy and to knock them down, take them as a hostage, use a chainsaw on them, or finish them off in one of numerous nasty ways.
We call it intimate violence, that feeling of being right in the middle of the thick of it, and that gives you that passion.
When you stick someone with the chainsaw, you feel it, like the remote kind of shakes, and you can feel, you know, like it go into the, you know, into the enemy. I had to put the joystick down and kind of decide if I was really going to play this game or not. It was kind of intense.
The enemy is not all the way across the battlefield from you, but they're right in front of you. You can hear them grunt.
The curb stomping, the chainsawing, everything just felt much more immediate in that game. And it wasn't a lot of like, let me sit back here and kind of shoot at a target. It was like, how can I get in behind this target and punch him in the nads? That's what I wanted to do. Not that I hate nads. Nads are great. Everybody loves nads.
Epic first displayed Gears of War 2 not as a demo of the game, but as a technology demo at the Game Developers Conference up in San Francisco. And one of the demos they showed was this meat cube, which has become sort of a fan favorite online, which is this sort of gelatinous cube of meat.
It's all about the meat cube. It's a meat cube. It's a cube of meat.
I'm sure they're all sitting around going, well, what would be funny and cool? Oh, a giant cube of meat that we'll roll around and we'll shoot at.
Anytime you have improvements in technology, if you don't put them in your game, you might as well not bother building them in the first place.
A video game engine is sort of the base level of technology. It's the graphics, it's the artificial intelligence that tells monsters how to behave. The game itself is the monsters. It's Marcus Phoenix and the Locust drones, and it's when you kick down the door, 3 guys rush into the room. That's the video game, and the engine is everything beneath it.
There's a reason why it's called an engine, because it's all of these parts working together to drive the video game experience.
We're now able to spawn quite a number of AI characters on the screen at one time. You're battling actual hordes of locusts versus the few that you might have seen on screen in Gears 1.
You know in Lord of the Rings when you have these like hundreds of thousands of troops coming in? Well, Gears is like that, except instead of just seeing them come in, you can just take down every single one of them.
The games have gotten a lot smarter. Like, how you play the game has functionally changed rather than guy A shoots at guy B. Now there's a whole lot of letters in between.
Artificial intelligence is the computer's ability to make you feel like you're playing against somebody who's got a brain.
Good AI isn't an AI that kicks the player's butt. It's AI that the player feels entertained by.
AI allows us to anthropomorphize these digital avatars that otherwise have no personality. They're just lines of code. But when they're done right, you actually feel like you're fighting against this guy who has it out for you.
You see them, you know, spreading out in formation, and I take cover behind a car, and you hear a locust go, he's behind the car, and you're like, oh crap, they know where I am.
I mean, there were so many times when I would, you know, you're trying to get a beat on a bad guy, but it's like they knew you were just waiting for them to pop up, so they're not popping up, and you're like, well, crap. And then there's another guy, well, oh, then it came up.
Sometimes it's all about the little things, the tickers being the little creatures that, you know, chomp their teeth, the fact that they behave like cockroaches and try and avoid sight until they get close and then they rush you and explode.
The enemies, you know, I'm pretty sure they're smart. They, you know, obviously I beat the game, so they weren't that smart.
It's one thing to feel afraid when bullets are coming at you or monsters bearing down at you. The trickier thing is to actually make players empathize with the characters that are in this world.
To make these worlds realistic, this is something that was not possible 10 or 15 years ago. The depth that you see and the artistic design that you see was just not physically possible. And all these things put together in their engine make it so you see it as a cinematic experience, not even as a gaming experience. You're unaware of so much work that's going on in the background. You're playing the movie.
I'm hoping for some Gears. Pow, pow, pow.
I'm gonna sit at home with no pants on and play. That's what gaming is all about. The no pants rule. You gotta, that's why online gaming is so popular. Who wants to wear pants? You just got home from work, pants off. I'm gonna game up, man. Woo!
My vocabulary doesn't have a word for how awesome it's going to be. Fractabulous? Gears of War 2 is fractabulous.
I got the new Gears too, and no pants on. Oh yeah.
All we have to do now is save the world.